Welcome back to the Great Primeval Show. I am the Ark Minister, and I'm joined by Ancient Realms and Hodgepodge. Today we'll be breaking down episode 10, the final episode of Primeval Series 3. Also known as The Chase Continues in North America,
Gefangen
in Germany, and
Retour aux sources
in France. Written by Steve Bailey and directed by Matthew Thompson.
Previously on Primeval, we are shown a recap of the last episode. Interestingly, this recap was kept on the DVD release, whereas the DVD version of Series 2's finale just jumped straight to the intro scene. Instead of the usual trailer music, the track from when Cutter and Ryan first enter the Permian in Series 1, Episode 1 is used. The opening shot lingers a little too long on the feet of the Special Forces soldiers as we see a tracking shot of the doors being dragged open, and we see the team's vehicle pull into it. You can also hear the Series 3 version of the Primeval titles in the background. The reason Lester is absent from this episode was mentioned in the last episode.
I'm meeting the minister this afternoon.
Though presumably the team informed him about Christine Johnson's death and Helen's escape off screen, and got the go-ahead to pursue her through the racetrack anomaly. It's also very lucky and convenient for the plot that this anomaly is still open, considering
90% of the anomalies are gone within hours.
Noting the future predators were sensitive to sound from their visit to the future in episode 8, Becca gives the others some stun grenades to disrupt their hearing. Smart idea. Think of these as Chekhov's stun grenades.
I suggest you keep your mouth open.
That won't be difficult for Connor.
Keep this in mind for later.
No, not now.
At probably the worst time, Johnson's anomaly seemingly naturally reopens after Helen closed it with a device at the end of the last episode. They pick this up with the handheld detectors, which are then never seen again in this episode, despite them probably coming in handy. This is also the last time you see this version of the detectors in the show. The team are forced to decide which anomaly to deal with to catch Helen.
Becca, you check it out.
Danny decides to split up, with himself, Connor and Abby going through the racetrack anomaly Back to the Future, and sending Becca and Sarah to investigate Johnson's HQ. I know we've said this already, but seriously, where are the Special Forces? Could you not send a squad to investigate Johnson's HQ instead? Apparently not, as we needed drama with characters we're emotionally invested in being separated during the 10th finale.
Danny, I want to go with you.
Wow, everyone thinks Becca is insignificant. You're really going to hurt his feelings.
Look, no one's saying goodbye here.
Oh, if only that were true. In hindsight, this line is very wrong due to events between Series 3 and 4. Danny also says farewell in a very similar way near the end of Series 4, Episode 7.
And take care.
Becca hands Danny his favourite gun. Again, Abby and Connor are not given any weapons to take with them like in Episode 8. At least in that episode they rushed to the future, so they didn't have time for backup. Whereas here they leave with no reason not to take weapons. I guess they'll just have to make do.
Where's my gun?
Connor,
Yo.
might need this.
A bag of stun grenades and a year's worth of survival supplies for the Cretaceous? How oddly specific. With that, the Series 3 team split for the last time, and there's a cool panning shot showing close-ups of the three leads here, as Connor, Danny and Abby enter the anomaly. The music motif as they walk through is the exact same from when they previously travelled through the same anomaly in Episode 8.
The operation's been closed down. The place should be empty, come on.
Wow, that was fast. Keep in mind, this is still the same day as Episode 9, so the Minister must work very fast to completely shut down and evacuate the building in a few hours.
Doesn't get any prettier, does it?
Not with the horrid filter, it doesn't. Note also that the team is on a green screen for this shot. This is the 5th and final episode to receive an audio commentary, featuring series co-creator Adrian Hodges, series producer Tim Bradley, and Jason Fleming. Jason jokes about how his shirt in this episode cost £4.99, whereas Hannah's Spirit's jacket cost £600. Tim Bradley mentions that the future set was filmed on the backlot in Kinetic, and that Michael Ralph pilfered everything from other film sets and production houses. Adrian Hodges also says that it's an unknown time in the future, can't be more than a few hundred, with the future predators breeding in the present day destroyed humanity. Hodges also goes on to say that he expressed disappointment that they didn't have a military guy in Series 2. As they walk back to where Danny suspects Johnson's anomaly to be, there's a shot that lingers looking up at a building. This is because this is where Becca shot the Predator in episode 8. But note the dead body is now missing, implying some time has passed since they were last there, or possibly the Megopterans took the body away and covered the whole thing up. When Abby asks where the Predators are, the shot lingers on these buildings. This is because in episode 8, all the Predators were seen arriving here. Danny startles some unknown birds which can be heard flying off, perhaps the same ones as the flock seen in the establishing shot.
Listen.
It's cool that the fan-designed creature reappears in episode 10. I wonder if the creature would have been included in this episode as much if the winner was something different. We see creature vision again as the Megopterans hone in on the team. Note also that the background is digitally extended to show the future city and cliffs in the background, whereas in reality, beyond the anomaly is the end of the set. Connor opens the church door and discovers Johnson's HQ anomaly, which is where Wilder took Eve in episode 8. We see Danny openly shooting the Megopterans here, making lots of noise. Interesting that Abby and Connor don't scold him for being too loud like they did in episode 8.
Well done. You've just alerted every predator for miles.
Note that you can see the Lotus car that Jack left here from episode 8. That would also mean exactly where the team is standing, there should be a giant hole in the ground that Jack fell through. Technically a goof. The team dive out of the way as the Buggy Boys fly through the anomaly.
We get a number of establishing shots of the abandoned HQ as Becca and Sarah arrive. Everyone being absent now creates a spooky atmosphere for what's about to transpire. On the overhead walkway is a dead body of one of Johnson's men. You never see their face, so some fans have speculated that this could be Captain Wilder since he's absent in this episode and the rest of the show. Well, whoever it is, their arm seems to be freshly bleeding, probably due to the buggies now infesting the building looking for sustenance. A Megaopteran attacks Becca and his gun is destroyed way too quickly to be realistic. Note that the type of gun changes as it breaks. You can see the difference in the stock at the back. You can also see the Megopteran's animation rewind whilst it's on its back as it pans over to Sarah and Becca. Are these sandbags or trash? Were they placed here because the building is being cleared out? That was very quick for the same day closure. When Sarah and Becca jump off the ledge, it's performed by stunt doubles. The music playing here is from Series 2, Episode 1 and Episode 3. Wow, car doors really are their worst enemies.
We've only got one shot at this.
For some reason, Becca's voice sounds a bit off in this scene. It could be ADR, additional dialogue recorded, added in after filming. Zap those ants! I wonder if this scene would have used a different fan design creature, had another design been chosen as the winner, or if the role was originally meant to be filled by the future Predator instead. Becca uses the grill to electrocute the Megopteran, in a very similar way to how the Alpha Plura dies in Series 1, Episode 2.
Shocking.
Hopefully they don't smell as bad as real burnt bugs. By the time Becca and Sarah arrive at Johnson's anomaly room, it's closed. Very convenient for keeping these characters away from the A-plot. There's another one of Johnson's men here. Looks like he's also been slimed. Becca and Sarah arrive back at the racetrack anomaly, with it being unlocked ready for the rest of the team to come back. Of course, there's no sign of them. Note that Becca just takes this guy's gun since both his favourite gun and new gun were taken from him. Looks like Connor has upgraded the locking mechanism to have a remote control since episode 8, which just used the laptop connected.
Come on, Coin, hurry up.
Give him a year or so and he'll be back.
Now, don't be hasty.
Becca and Sarah are not seen again until the end of the episode, really emphasising that the production considered Becca as backup, and Sarah just never really left the background all series, unfortunately.
The team enter the building where Danny saw Helen. However, they are closely followed by an inquisitive predator. Note how it actually makes predator noises here, and not the weird pig noises that were used in episode 8.
Oh, stinks.
It's more like they've been keeping animals.
Kind of animals. Skunks. If it was me, I'd just find some nice little Jurassic beach somewhere.
Well, Connor, I've heard they can be a bit cruel?
However crazy she was, everything she does makes some sort of sense.
Interesting that Danny came to this conclusion, considering he's only just met Helen. This also feels like a line for Nick Cutter, as this episode was originally meant to have him in it. The predator suddenly decides it's hungry and reveals itself. Luckily, the team seal a door to keep it out. For some reason, the predator takes the gun, probably by accident. Lucky it doesn't know how to use it.
Where's his favourite gun?
Yes, this is indeed Becca's favourite gun, as he has used it every episode since episode 4.
We gotta get him a girlfriend.
Keep that in mind for the next series.
Captain Becca, welcome back to the Ark.
From the original Series 4 scripts, Adrian Hodges mentions that Danny will be getting a girl in the next series, but specifies it's not Sarah. I wonder if it was meant to be Emily or someone else. Jason Fleming keeps ogling Layla Ruas in the commentary, saying Danny should date Sarah.
We're in the Ark.
Maybe it's some kind of future version of it.
As revealed by the logo on the wall, this is some sort of future version of the Anomaly Research Center. If you also look closely, underneath you can see the words Cutter Building. It is unclear whether this building was named after the late Professor Cutter, or whether he had some involvement in this future. Due to the future city set being on the same filming location as the Creature Prison, as noted by this building, it could be speculated that this future Ark is the Creature Prison, repurposed by the Future Ark organization. This can also be backed up by the novel Fire and Water, where the Ark was using the empty Creature Prison as a menagerie for larger creatures. Jumping forward in time, the new Ark building in Series 4 onwards looks very similar to this version of the Ark, so it could be based on it, or meant to be it. Again, it's unclear. This future Ark logo may look like it has little lipstick sticking out of it, however these appear to be a representation of the studded emitters from the anomaly locking mechanism.
Helen said it started here.
Perhaps this is why Helen suspected Nick as the perpetrator of causing this future, as she could have seen the words Cutter Building and the technology and thought he was involved.
She's here. I know it.
Jeez, Danny sounds like he's out for blood. This again feels like a line intended for Cutter.
That's what Helen used to control the anomalies.
Danny finds another anomaly opener, just like the one Helen used in the last episode, which will be important later. Also note a goof here is that Danny has Becca's favourite gun in hand again, despite losing it moments ago. It was likely that this scene was meant to be placed earlier, but was moved here for the scene to flow better. They finally find Helen, who is operating a database in one of the rooms of the Ark. More on that in a bit. The music plays a short harp ditty when you see Helen here, and it almost becomes her theme for this episode, as it plays regularly in her scenes. As Connor and Abby sneak around, Danny surprises Helen by taking her gun.
Don't.
Danny.
Oh, Helen looks fully deranged now, with those cold, dead eyes, almost as if she's taunting Danny and willing him to shoot by pressing herself against the gun. Danny, however, makes a rookie move and allows her to get too close. Surely, being a policeman, Danny would have been trained against mistakes like this.
Look, we both know I wasn't right for this job.
Interesting to see Helen again using another weapon other than her signature knife. That being said, a taser is way cooler than just giving her a gun, and apparently she's used it before on predators?
Works better on you than it does on some predators.
How did she get close enough to tase a predator without dying though?
Come out of the dark, Connor. You too, Abby.
Note how Helen specifically knows that Connor and Abby were with Danny and no one else, for example Becca. It's highly likely that she was just pretending not to know they were there, so she could tase Danny. She was likely alerted to their presence by Becca's favourite gun being fired earlier.
I say I'm surprised you had the brains to figure it out.
Once again, Helen is under the delusion that she alone is the most intelligent, and that her plan is foolproof, despite the team having tracked her here. I wonder if she knows how they actually got here.
Who's gonna stop me? You and Barbie?
Oh, you don't want to antagonize Abby. The last person who tried that got kicked in the face. For some strange reason, there are about 6 quick zoom shots in a row here. I know it's meant to emphasize the Mexican standoff happening here, but because the footage is zoomed in post and not by the camera itself, the footage gets really blurry. Series 3? Despite pointing the gun and easily capable of shooting them, Helen withdraws it and instead reveals the artifact, Series 3's MacGuffin. The way she presents it to Connor and Abby is very similar to how she did with Nick in episode 3.
Nick knew this was important, but he didn't know why.
Well, he would have done. If you hadn't murdered him.
If you look really closely, you can see Helen's eyes flicker and go watery for a split second. Is that remorse for killing your husband? Guilt?
I've spent every day since his death working it out.
It's unclear how much time Helen spent doing this, as she could have been in the future for ages during her absence between episode 3 and 9.
I know he would have understood.
Yeah, no. Nick is spinning in his grave right now after that statement.
You know what, Helen? You're not as smart as I thought you were.
You keep telling yourself that, Helen. One day you might believe it.
Note in this scene when it cuts to Helen, you can see Connor's mouth is not moving, despite hearing him speak.
Soon, none of this will ever have happened.
Foreshadowing? With that, Helen inserts the artifact into the database in a convenient artifact-shaped hole. It's hard to see because it's obscured by Abby, but you can hear Helen picking up the gun and put it in her pocket. If you missed this, it's easy to think that the gun just disappeared, as it's never used for the rest of the episode, even though Helen kind of needed it. Everyone watches as Helen starts playing around with the touchscreen computer, tapping various nondescript buttons and commands. These graphics are quite mesmerizing, though it appears that this is just a video, and Julia Aubrey is just matching her hand movements. Tim Bradley confirms that this screen graphic in Series 3 was done by Michael Ralph, with the battery timer added to the graphics during filming. The number 333 briefly appears again, as well as the Future Arc logo, this time being the exact same one that will be used in Series 4 and 5.
I, Helen Cutter, am gonna save the world.
Who put her in charge of that decision? Helen has elected herself to do this because of her experience in the past and future, and since she knows how to travel through the anomalies. Also interesting to note that she still refers to herself as Helen Cutter, showing that she still clings to her married name, despite killing her husband. Weird.
You know, Helen, you're in dire need of some serious therapy.
That and a straitjacket. Helen then makes the computer screen expand and showcase a large and sprawling time map of anomalies, which is very similar to the one the artifact reveals in episode 6. However, this one is more detailed and controlled. Note how it also fills the room with light, just like the real anomalies do. A neat detail is that the projection is partially blocked by Helen, so it disappears behind her.
It's a time map of every anomaly that's ever been. Or ever will be.
This graphic representation shows the entire list of all anomalies across the show, and likely beyond, which is really cool. I wonder if it shows the timeline changes, and or fault line anomalies as well.
Cut was right.
Is anyone even remotely surprised?
Of course I was late. With this, we'll never have to wait for anomalies to open again, we'll just know where they are.
Of course, the show could never use the artifact like this, or all the drama, mystery, surprise, and excitement would be gone. None of this is ever really talked about beyond this episode anyway, so... Also, if this thing was labelled, then we could interpret where every anomaly is linked to, as well as predict anomalies not yet seen in the show before, though it doesn't appear to be interactive. The creators obviously didn't do this for that reason, but imagine the team having all this prior knowledge, something not even Helen appears to have. It is, however, a very cool visual. A cool detail is that there is a bold orange line connecting two anomalies together within the time map, which likely shows Helen's route to where she is headed next. The time map appears to be one continuous line which shows where anomalies connect to in the timeline, and where the lines intersect, making the map
more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
This also begs the question, who made this thing? Presumably if Cutter was still alive, he would have helped create it with his Matrix as the starting point, or maybe even Connor following his work. It's pretty vague, as of course, this is never expanded upon, and this episode is the only time you see it. Series 3?
See this? This is science!
I do like the detail that everyone is equally fascinated by this time map, since this is Helen's first time seeing it as well, since she now has the artifact. In the commentary, Jason Fleming talks about all the anomaly timeline data, saying, "I can't wait to see where this takes us in the next series."
Ironic.
What a shame you ever met Cutter.
Helen is keen to move on with her devious plan, and inserts the anomaly opener device into the computer as well, to seemingly store anomaly information inside it. You can also see she enters a code to activate it. She then ends the light show, plunging the team back into darkness. Pathetic fallacy much? It becomes clearer how the device works, as Helen downloaded information from the artifact to be able to use this portable device. This also shows that you need access to specific anomalies in order to find the ones you're looking for, and you can't just open them wherever you like.
If I were you, I'd make the most of whatever time you have left. Believe me, it won't be long.
Connor's face when hearing this is a look of utter dread. Helen's words are so ominous. Whatever she's planning isn't good, but if she's so sure she'll succeed, why doesn't she just tell them? Helen then takes the artifact, which has switched hands so many times this series, being the most important object in the show right now, the key to time itself, and to finding any anomaly, which Helen has fought so hard to acquire to... Helen! Oh dear. Okay then. Well, what a waste of time that was.
Smashing.
Although the outer casing remains intact, the artifact's internal structure is destroyed beyond repair, rendering it useless. This is a bold move in seemingly halting the show's progression. Think of how useful that thing could have been in the show going forward. Oh well. Helen then bids a swift retreat into the anomaly she opened as it closes behind her, leaving the team behind. Again in this series, Helen makes the error of letting the team watch her actions that could allow the team to copy and retaliate.
Obey no one else. My voice is the only voice you recognize.
She also just leaves them beside the technology that could allow them to follow her. Surely neutralizing the team would be more effective than marooning them.
The computer conveniently loses power for some reason.
We gotta find out where she was going. How we can follow her.
Yes! Thank you for that statement of the blindingly obvious!
If we can get it working, then maybe I can reconstruct the route from the computer's memory.
Connor's genius shines through as he knows how he can make this work.
Batteries. In the torches.
I got an idea.
Would those batteries even be compatible? By some miracle they actually are and restore the computer to working order. In reality, laptop computers need 20 to 70 watts of power to operate, and these 8 torch batteries likely only amount to about 12 volts, not nearly enough.
Site 333, she named the file Site 333.
Suddenly it dawns on Connor what the number 333 means after it was mentioned in the last episode.
Site 333 is where they found the remains of the so-called first family of hominids. A group of 13 early humans who all died at the same time. No one ever knew how.
So Helen's gone to visit the ape man, what?
No. She's gone to kill the first human, to stop our evolution in its tracks. She's gonna wipe us all out.
Hearing this is pretty chilling, especially with the mysterious music previously used for the Sun Cage back in episode 1. Helen's plan is to stop human evolution from ever happening, thus preventing this future. Though surely there are more subtle ways of doing this? She previously tried taking over the Ark with her Chinians and killing Nick, which didn't achieve the results she wanted. Then killing Christine to prevent this future, which also didn't work either. So presumably this is a last resort. All of this goes to prove,
And no matter how many times you interfere, you still can't get the result you want because evolution can't be bent to your will.
Abby meanwhile senses a disturbance in the building, meaning only one thing.
Predators.
The sounds of clattering and clanging echo throughout the building. These predators are so noisy compared to their Series 1 and 2 counterparts. Abby walking off whilst Connor and Danny do the batteries was a nod to horror conventions of the woman walking off by themselves. And also to give her something to do so she wasn't just standing around. The screen shows that it's encrypting anomaly to the device with a variation of the Primeval theme playing, which is cool. The low battery indicator was a change added to the graphics on the day of filming. Production said they wanted a countdown timer of sorts in this scene.
Just hurry up, right?
I'm not very good with pressure.
Connor comes up against a code wall, which he cleverly recognises as the code as seen on the artifact in episode 5 with a nice little flashback. Though it's kind of unnecessary, seeing how the code is literally on the side of the artifact. It's almost as bad as writing your PIN number on your bank card.
Yes! Sorry.
Poor Connor, continuously snubbed by his genius. Connor gets the information downloaded onto the device, right as the predators finally decide to appear, though they are too late as the team escapes. They also just seem to stand around and watch. Remember the days when the predator could run so fast nobody saw it go through the anomaly? This is the last time we see the future predators for a good while, as they retired for Series 4 and most of Series 5. Perhaps because they and this future were slightly overused in this series.
I didn't doubt you for a second.
The team find themselves in a new unknown time, thankfully finding Helen's footprints immediately. Lucky the anomaly sent them to the exact time and not before or afterwards. Note how Abby spots the footprints, as she has loosely taken over tracking since Stephen's demise.
Ancient pines, that could mean Mrs. Jurassic or maybe Cretaceous.
It's great to see Connor audibly working out where they could be located. This is, once again, the late Cretaceous, this time represented by an open coniferous woodland in a nondescript location. It was filmed at Horsell Common in Surrey. You can hear various distant animal calls, including the same sounds heard in The Lost World Jurassic Park for the Parasaurolophus. Note throughout the episode you can also see the edge of the forest with paths in the background. During filming, pedestrians kept asking about the show, and you can even see some of them walking in the backgrounds throughout these scenes.
So, what sort of creatures are we talking about?
Connor lists many carnivorous dinosaur species, of which the team could encounter during their time here. The list includes Spinosaurus, which coincidentally appears in the next episode, though this was probably unintentional foreshadowing. Allosaurus, which is actually from the Jurassic period. Albertosaurus, which regularly makes appearances throughout Primeval New World. Mapusaurus, which never technically appears, but could be the theropods that appear at the end of this episode. Also a drawing resembling it appears in the next episode. T-Rex, which previously appeared in Extinction Event and will later appear in Series 5, Episode 5. and raptors, which appear regularly.
Yeah, I got the point.
No, literally, raptors.
Returning from Series 2 are a group of 3 raptors, which are seen feeding on another of their own, making them cannibalistic, similar to what was seen in Series 2 Episode 1. These ones are smaller than the adults previously shown, likely making them juveniles. They still use the same model, and not the modified quillless baby version. They also make different sounds to their Series 2 counterparts, mainly using Jurassic Park raptor sounds. Yet another returning species which doesn't use the same sounds, like the predators.
They don't look too bad.
Danny for some reason allows his curiosity to get the better of him. Is this his first day on the job? Connor's look is iconic, as he knows all too well that even young raptors, yet alone a full-size one, are very dangerous.
Yeah, he's nearly full size.
Of course, Danny's obvious presence alerts the raptors to the team. Instead of eating their caught prey like normal animals, they decide to go movie monster route and give chase.
Given the choice, he'd prefer fresh meat.
Trips and falls whilst running away from danger cliché? The raptors jumping down the slope shows good interaction between CGI and reality. Again, they make Jurassic Park raptor noises here. Danny and Connor seem to disappear during the chase, and the camera just focuses on Abby running for some reason. Luckily, they decide to lift her into the tree. Hannah's spirit was likely on a harness to be lifted this quickly in this scene, with the wires likely being painted out by Framestore. This scene is very similar to the jumping raptors in Jurassic Park 3.
This thing's just died, I think.
The anomaly opening device runs out of charge. Unlucky that they left all the torch batteries in the future.
Take the battery out and shake it or something.
Off it.
Well, whatever the equivalent is then. We don't know the route.
We can't open the anomalies.
We can't get home.
Fortunately, Danny spots Helen running off, somehow. She didn't get very far considering her head start.
We could appeal to the better nature. These things are trying to make sushi out of us and we have to play nice. That doesn't seem fair.
Stun grenade. Come on!
My backpack. It's always full of useful things.
With no weapons to use, the stun grenades are the next best option. Shame we didn't actually get to see these being used on the future predators. Connor's OCD makes a point of reiterating the instructions for them, just as Danny activates one. Not the best timing as... Oops, well that could have been avoided. Following, there's a shaky overlay effect, an audible ringing and the voices aren't clear, which is a trope commonly used in media to represent disorientation following an explosion. In a very team leadery way, Danny stays with them to look after his own, but Abby is having none of it.
I can't leave you here. I won't.
You have to stop her. Finish it!
This shows how Abby is more experienced overall than Danny, even though he is technically her boss.
It's your responsibility to keep that safe. What are you doing?
Helen hears the explosion which momentarily stops her, as she spots a group of pterosaurs circling ahead. This shot shows us one about to swoop down, but it cuts, likely meaning there is unused footage of it fully swooping down to attack. Since this is just the Pteranodon model, it's likely Pteranodon again, previously being seen in Series 1 Episode 5, as well as Series 2 Episode 2. Though it doesn't use the same sounds as previous appearances again. Series 3! At the site of the nest with some...
eggs.
Helen opens her anomaly. There are at least 3 nests here. Did she recognise that this was a spot? If so, how? I guess her device showed her the coordinates? This resumes the long-held rivalry between its species and Helen. At least this time she doesn't get injured.
What did this to you?
The pterosaur.
Helen's trusty knife returns for the first time this series, though this one is much smaller.
That's not a knife. That's a knife.
Interesting that the one time a gun would have come in handy for an aerial creature is the one time that she leaves it in her pocket. A goof here is that this area with no human habitation has a tree stump cut down by chainsaw, hence the clear flat cut here. The Pteranodon only attacked because it thought its eggs were at risk, but Helen isn't trying to eat the eggs this time, unlike in Series 2 Episode 2. In the chaos, Helen drops the anomaly opener and seemingly forgets about it. Now that the anomaly is open, she doesn't need it. Instead, she escapes to another time, travelling through the anomalies being very familiar to her. Danny catches up and runs straight past the opener, the camera lingering on the device as a setup for the next episode. Odd that the pterosaurs don't try and attack Danny here. Maybe Helen's knife or this raptor scared them off. Both of them travel through to the Pliocene.
Abby is still trying to rouse Connor when one of the raptors groggily gets to its feet.
Come on then.
Abby bravely tries to take it on alone and lead it away from the hapless Connor until...
Why don't you pick up someone your own species?
It was doing that with its friends before you interrupted it anyway.
I'm gonna save you this time.
This is a commentary on how many times Connor has saved Abby before. The raptor just stands there for ages, seemingly unsure who to attack. Maybe it isn't even hungry after eating another raptor earlier. Abby literally face palms at this.
That was a stupid idea, I've just aggravated it.
Note that the scaling is off here, as it nearly looks full size instead of knee-high like earlier.
Yeah, he's nearly full size.
The raptor is knocked out, again. Wood is the ultimate defense. Only dinosaurs are able to destroy it.
You broke my ankle!
Oh, really?
If not, it's a bad sprain.
Connor has experience of spraining his ankle.
I had the Duke of Edinburgh Award, you know. For a morning. Till I sprained my ankle.
We just need to find somewhere safe, then we can find Danny in the morning.
Yeah, no. The pair seemingly walk towards the direction Danny and Helen went to find a safe spot to wait.
You'll not see nothing like the mighty wind.
Danny literally leaps through the anomaly and arrives in the place where it all began.
This is the cradle of evolution for mankind.
The Great Rift Valley in Ethiopia, 4 million years ago. This would have been even more impactful if Nick Cutter was experiencing this, but instead we are treated to some beautiful and foreboding shots of the Rift Valley, quiet and watchful as Danny arrives. This shot was taken from another program. Site 333 was filmed in San Nicolas in Gran Canaria, in the Canary Islands, making it the third and final Canary Islands filming location used for the show. Apparently, it was a 17-hour trip from England to Gran Canaria, plus an additional 4 hours from the hotel to the filming location. Had the show had a larger budget, they could have actually filmed in Ethiopia, similar to Walking with Beasts, since the landscape has scarcely changed over the years, but this is a good stand-in. We hear momentous music as Danny walks away from the anomaly to finish what he started. However, from the anomaly, the raptor also arrives, now on the hunt for some Quinn quiche. Helen startles a flock of crows which take off to the sky. These crows were likely composited in. They could even be the same models as the future flying birds. Danny spots the crows flying away from further back, deducing that Helen is nearby. She obviously didn't realise she was being followed yet, and so isn't trying to be discreet like she usually is. The following shot of the raptor is the same location as where the anomaly was, but reused without it. Helen finally arrives at her destination, a narrow river valley and gorge, where, in the distance, is the group of hominids of Site 333, all drinking from the water, peaceful and calm, and oblivious to her presence. What could possibly go wrong? Note that there's only actually 12 hominids visible here, not 13, which is pretty interesting. More on that in a bit. From her backpack, Helen pulls out something very suspicious in the form of a white milky poison. As a prop, this could just be milk, which is quite funny when you think about it, though it appears to actually be powder before it hits the water. In the commentary, Jason Fleming says that the poison is effervescent. Not sure if that's official or just joking. Whatever it is, it's very potent, as just this little amount was enough to make the whole waterhole undrinkable. The deadly chanting choir ensues as the vile liquid trickles downstream.
Somebody's poisoned the waterhole!
The human vocals in the choir add to the emotional baggage, similar to the way the vocals are used in the Walking with Beasts episode Next of Kin. The camera pans up to follow the poison's journey towards where the happy hominids are drinking, before cutting to Helen's merciless face. Bitch. Terrible catastrophe, oh no! Helen clearly has no moral qualms about what she's doing. The camera then cuts away to the eerie and silent shots of the surrounding landscape, conveying the devastating reality of what's happened. We as an audience don't need to directly see the deaths occurring because of what's been set up with Helen's motives. Great direction, and quite spooky too.
These hominids, whilst only referred to as such and as early humans, appear to represent the species Australopithecus afarensis, which are likely the Pliocene fossils found at Site 333 in the Great Rift Valley in Ethiopia. They are also the only human ancestor species to appear in Primeval, unless you count... Australopithecus is also the usual go-to for early human ancestors that features in both the other Impossible Picture shows Walking with Beasts and Walking with Cavemen. They utilise this species for the same purpose of showcasing hominid evolution, one with CGI and animatronics and the other with actors in costumes. Primeval likely went with the CGI route to save on the budget of getting multiple actors to Gran Canaria with heavy prosthetics and costumes. Their design is more or less perfect in appearance, and very similar to the Walking with Beast model with animation, although a bit bulkier. The only real problem is that they are far too big for Australopithecus, or any hominid of the time in fact, as no species was larger than a human child, but this isn't the case in this episode, or even in Walking with Cavemen's first episode, First Ancestors. It's unclear why they're so much bigger, as it could just be an error, or this could be part of the semi-abandoned plotline of the timeline changing in subtle ways. Possibly they were made human-sized so that the viewer would have a stronger emotional connection when the characters interact with them. This is also likely why the final CGI model was changed from Darren Hawley's more gorilla-like concept art to make them more human-like, thus more sympathetic. It's also likely more accurate as they were closer to us than gorillas. As expected, they used chimp sound effects, which are probably as close as the creators could get to matching the actual animal. The hominids are shown to predominantly walk upright, which is generally considered the way Australopithecus moved.
These apes walk upright.
They are shown to live in large social groups, similar to modern great apes like chimps or gorillas, and round off the creature list for the final primeval design to be made by Framestore. However, as of 2025, Framestore are back with a vengeance to bring more prehistoric creatures back to life in the latest season of Prehistoric Planet, including another ape, funnily enough, with Gigantopithecus.
And there was much rejoicing.
As for Site-333, known in real life as AL-333, it does indeed preserve at least 13 Australopithecus that are thought to have died around the same time. It was found in Hadar, Ethiopia in 1975, and is sometimes referred to as the first family. Whether the individuals found here were related is unknown, but considering there were children, adolescents, and adults found, it may indicate a family unit. The Hadar Formation where the site is found is thought to have been deposited in a river system within a grassland, similar to modern-day Ethiopia, so this filming location is pretty accurate. The cause of death is still debated. A flash flood has been largely discredited by the geology at the site. A predator's food cache, such as a big cat, which are known to have hunted and killed Australopithecus, or food poisoning, funnily enough, or perhaps some other kind of disease.
We have to be aware of the risk of disease.
Whatever the cause, it's cool that Primeval is incorporating more real-world events into its lore. Danny rounds the rock face to the narrow gorge and finds the results of Helen's work. The first family all lie dead in the sand, in a dramatic reveal with some dramatic music too. Walking with Cavemen even shows a similar death scene with Lucy on another riverbank.
In a few hours' time, it'll rain. The waters will rise and will claim her body.
Why did you kick it? That doesn't seem very respectful. I guess he's only checking if it's still alive. As he approaches, one of the hominids is in fact still breathing and reaches out in a desperate attempt for his help, but there's nothing Danny can do. The human connection with the conscience and emotion shared here is not lost on us, as it succumbs to the poison like all the others. Danny is visibly very upset and in tears at the sight, such is the devastation of Helen's handiwork and the ruthlessness. As he is too late, there's nothing more he can do and turns to walk away in sorrow. I wonder what he had planned to do here. Keep looking for Helen or go back to the Cretaceous?
You're too late, Danny!
Again, Helen loves perfecting her pose for dramatic reveals, and she can't help but gloat at Danny. In the commentary, Adrian Hodges mentioned that this episode was the culmination of the Nick and Helen story arc that was started all the way back in episode 1 of series 1. Though clearly this episode was rewritten quite heavily after Dougie left the show to have Danny in his place. It does however have the problem of making it feel quite separate, since Danny has no history with Helen except for their brief encounter in the last episode.
You know, if you hadn't taken me to the Ark, I never would have got this far.
You killed them!
Despite not being the most well versed on the creatures, Danny still shows pity and sadness for them.
There'll be no war, no pollution, no predators.
This line indicates that Helen still cares for nature and simply wants a clean start for the Earth without humanity, though this is very unethical.
If you wiped out humanity, then how come I'm still here?
It's interesting to think how wiping out humanity would have worked if Helen had succeeded. Seemingly the action of killing all humans by a human would cancel itself out, but due to the possibility of variations in the timeline, it's unclear.
You're really not very bright, are you, Danny?
Danny hurls a rock at Helen, to which she skillfully dodges. Maybe it hits a mirror instead.
There's more to kill, but you'd be surprised how few hominids started the human race.
Even if Helen wiped out the rest, she could never be sure to have killed every single individual. I don't think she has enough poison.
Then you kill yourself as well.
I don't care.
We could question Helen's honesty here, as generally she is very selfish, so quote-unquote sacrificing herself to wipe out humanity seems slightly out of character. As shown previously, anyone in the past is unaffected by changes made to the present, so Helen likely knows this and could just be lying to Danny about not caring. Rocks come loose from behind Helen, which she ignores, clearly too engrossed in gloating at Danny. Since originally this scene was written for Nick, the line,
"Whatever you do, humanity will find a way to evolve. You can't fight nature,"
sounds out of place for Danny to say. Helen even points this out.
You sound just like Nick.
Almost as if Nick should be here in Danny's place.
And you know what? You're both wrong.
Maybe it's you who's wrong. You ever thought about that?
Bye, Danny.
Just at that moment, the raptor reveals itself, not to Danny, but to Helen. Perhaps it thought she would make an easier target, or it can tell the difference between protagonists and antagonists. This particular raptor also sounds just like the velociraptors in Jurassic Park. Helen's expression is so perfect here. Despite all her best laid plans and perfectly executed plot, she still didn't account for a random wild animal attack, albeit something that shouldn't exist in this time, but bleh.
In most eras of the world's history, you'd be dead by now.
Just goes to show that both Nick and Danny were right.
If we start to disrupt that perfect balance, then life just begins to unravel.
Helen versus a raptor is the second returning creature rivalry for Helen in this episode, following the Pteranodon earlier, as a raptor previously tried to get her in Series 2, Episode 7. Between a raptor and a small-ish fall, Helen can do nothing but watch in horror as the raptor leaps at her to try and land a killing blow, only for them both to fall off the cliff. The shot of Juliet Torbury was shot on a blue screen, the two thunder down, only just missing Danny, who dodges out of the way just in time and grabs a stick to defend himself. However, the pair lie motionless. Wait, is that Molly? Helen lies crushed between the ground and the raptor. No blood or trauma is visible, likely to keep the show PG, but they are both deceased, which Danny confirms as he checks Helen's pulse and smiles.
Good boy.
Danny thanks the raptor for its part in this. If it wasn't for it being there, Helen might have got away, as he wasn't in any position to confront her.
I have the high ground!
Good boy wasn't the original one-liner. It was a whistle of Ding Dong, the Wicked Witch is Dead from The Wizard of Oz, but it was cut in case people didn't get the reference. Helen lies dead beside the very hominid she killed moments ago, in a cruel twist of fate, and the irony is not lost on us. I guess Danny was right, and you really can't fight nature.
You know what, Helen? You're not as smart as I thought you were.
I wonder how paleontologists would react to there now being a full-sized hominid and a raptor along with the 333 bodies. Since there were only 12 hominids visible, there's a fan theory that Helen's body became the 13th, thus becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Now it all makes sense.
Helen Cutter's death is almost as sudden as Nick's, but it's more expected this time, with more of a build-up throughout this series, and her psychopathic role in the show. This also marks another major death of a character established in Series 1. The first character we actually see in the show, in fact, and her journey to this point has been very mysterious. There's still a lot left unexplored about her, but it's a somewhat satisfying payoff for her role this series. Now that both Cutters have been dispatched, it feels like this chapter of the show has now ended. It would never be the same going forward, as these two were integral to the story and plot of the show. This also severs the last connection to the original timeline with Claudia Brown. Also, if Helen had succeeded in her plan, then anyone still in the past like her and Danny would likely be unaffected until they came back to the present, whereby they would be the only humans left. Everyone else would have been erased.
Erased from existence.
Back in the Cretaceous, Connor and Abby somehow got into a tree, despite Connor's leg injury. The actors are actually in the tree for this scene.
What hurts?
Oh, pretty much everything.
Here.
Imagine a happy place. You're on a beautiful beach. And the sun is shining.
Why couldn't we get banished here?
Abby tries to soothe Connor, as well as likely herself, to distract them from being in a world full of vicious dinosaurs. I wonder if she's also softened to the idea of Connor and her being together now, since they're forced to work together anyway.
Are you wearing a bikini?
Oh no, creepy Series 1 Connor is back.
Can I move back into the flat, please?
Ironically, we never see Abby's flats again going forward. It was highly likely the original Series 4 plans were for them to move back in together. Adrian Hodges said that there were 3 to 4 drafts of the last scene for Connor and Abby. He also indicated that Andrew Lee Potts and Hannah Spirit were planning to get married in 2009.
Ironic.
See you in the morning.
Hopefully.
Loving the optimism.
Sleep well, guys. Sleep well.
As the camera pans away from their sleeping spot, with the sun setting in the Cretaceous sky, we see snow-capped mountains in the background, very reminiscent of Death of a Dynasty. If you look very closely, you can also see a group of theropods fighting in the distance, which is pretty cool. Since they use the Giganotosaurus model, perhaps they're the Mapusaurus that Connor mentioned earlier. This is an uneasy ending for Connor and Abby, who are unable to move position quickly and reach Danny. But at least they're together. In the present, Sarah and Becca are still keeping watch at the racetrack anomaly site, waiting for their team members to return.
I've got an idea.
Turn back, Sarah. Turn back before it's too late.
Yep, this is Dr. Sarah Page's last appearance in the show. Clearly this was not the intention, as Series 4 had been written at this point, with Sarah involved in it, but Layla Rouse decided to leave the show. Her idea isn't really conveyed to the audience here, but we later find out in the webisodes that she deciphered the number 333 from Helen's diary, and worked out where she and the rest of the team had headed. The idea was also to send rescue missions to the future. Instead, her idea just comes across as dying off screen. Having dealt with Helen and stopped the human race from being wiped out, Danny makes his way back to the anomaly, and we cut to Danny's foot stepping on the same rock 3 times. He comes across a large group of hominids busy living their best lives, away from the carnage from earlier. It's nice to see that they're flourishing and that humanity is secured. Yay? The music here is the same track from earlier when Danny discovers the dead group, but it's a happier version. Note how the Helen harp motif is also missing, indicating her presence is gone. This shot, however, doesn't seem to have aged as well, and looks a bit off, especially with the composition. The scale of the 4 down in the valley are also too small. There's also some very small ones in the distance, which are cool to see. Note that this is the same valley where Helen poisoned the waterhole. Hopefully they don't drink the water. The producers point out the fact that pretty much all the shots of the Rift Valley in this episode are shot in the same area, just from different angles, so this likely isn't meant to be the same valley. The delight in Danny's face is lovely as he laughs at the sight of more hominids that Helen didn't get to. Now all they've got to worry about is the regular threats, like Dinotheres and false saber cats.
Right. Which way home?
Should have left a breadcrumb trail. The music turns apprehensive as Danny keeps walking back to the anomaly. However, as he rounds a rock face to view it, there's clear signs that it's on its way out as it shrinks and expands rapidly. Can he make it in time? Danny quickens his pace to reach the expiring portal with a sense of urgency and dread. Luck is not on his side. The anomaly closes seconds before Danny is able to leap through it, serving him a pretty undeserved fate. This is also the last time we see the proper anomaly design in the show. Danny falls to the ground in disbelief and claws the sand, no doubt feeling defeated with his feeling of being cut off felt by the audience as he is now trapped in the past. You can see how sad he is as he looks up where the anomaly was seconds ago, now thin air. Damn it, Danny, why weren't you faster? Now he is...
Alone.
The camera cuts away to a wider view of the featureless landscape, which are the same shots from earlier, and continues with dramatic zoom-outs to convey just how isolated Danny is with these shots, and the drums in the music elevate this before cutting to black.
Hey, wait a minute, what happened? What happens next? Come on, let's see the next episode!
That's it.
What?
The show was cancelled after that.
Wait! There was a great show! I mean, why cancel it?
2 words.
Peter Fincham. Yes, sadly, Primeval was cancelled after Series 3, though of course it did get renewed for Series 4 and 5, which kind of rendered the cancelling pointless. Adrian Hodges indicated that Heartbeat had been axed at the time of recording, meaning Primeval was next. Ironically also, Adrian Hodges and Tim Bradley asked Jason Fleming to come back again, and he said yes. Series 3 ends on another cliffhanger like Series 1 and 2, though this time not all the plot threads quite get resolved in the next series.
In closing, it is unclear how much time Series 3 takes place over, and despite all the jumping between time periods, Episode 10 takes place over half a day from the characters' perspectives, and it's approximately a year between this and the next episode. Join us next time for the breakdown of Episode 1 of Primeval Series 4, but stay to the end of the credits for Alfred's final breakdown of Primeval Evolved Week 10.
Week 10 of Primeval Evolved was released 2 days after Episode 10. This week is unique, as there is no lab work or a game and it takes place in the future. Unlike the intro from weeks 1 to 9, which were all based in the Anomaly Research Centre or Christian Johnson's headquarters. Following your escape from the Megaropteron last week, you find yourself in the future city. After exploring around, you find an old laptop. Connor has left you a video message, saying how they've gone through to stop Helen Cutter before she can hurt anyone else.
I've got to be really quick. I hope you get this. We're about to head through the anomaly. We have to stop Helen Cutter before she hurts anybody else. I'll see you in the future. Connor, signing out.
His parting words proclaim that you are now part of the field team. And that brings us to the end of Primeval Evolved. The winner of Professor Cutter's jacket was never officially announced online, however speculation said it was someone called Dino Man. Well, whoever they are, I hope they're enjoying Professor Cutter's jacket and the other prizes. Primeval Evolved also won some awards. These are the International Emmy Awards for Outstanding Digital Programme and Interactive Media Awards Best in Class. It was also nominated for the BAFTA Interactive Innovation Content. Primeval Evolved was very much a product of its time. It's integrated piece of storytelling that told extra interactive narrative outside of the media it was part of, and I think that, for one, was an extremely well-funded and interesting piece of content that you don't see nowadays, but should definitely be more of a thing these days. These days there's a lot of focus on social media and other forms of entertainment that way, but I think an interactive narrative is something that a lot of shows and films today are missing, especially when it comes to stuff in viral marketing. And to be able to watch Primeval as a kid and week to week log on and be part of the story and feel like you're helping the characters and you're there in the arc, there wasn't a better feeling than that. Also, all my nerdy knowledge about the show actually came in handy for once. Thanks for listening to these insights about Primeval Evolved. This is Alfred, signing off for the last time. Tell you what, I've bloody evolved doing all these audio recordings. Tell you that much.